So one of the biggest indicators that you are doing the wrong thing is if the time you're spending doing it isn't generating income.
Hey, I'm Tine, your pivot and pay strategist. I help Black women double their income by leveraging their existing skills. I am all about getting Black women paid, whether you're an employee or a business owner. And you're listening to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. Let's go. Hey friends, welcome to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. I'm your host, Tine, your pivot and pay strategist. And today we have an incredible guest for you. She and I had a great conversation about business owners doing too much and how to start delegating that work out to others. If you're spending time in your business on tasks that do not generate revenue, then you don't want to miss this conversation. Before we get into it, let me tell you about our guest. Renee Hastings is the president and CEO of Executive Help Now, a virtual assistance service agency. She and her cohort of managers, specialists, podcast producers, and executive assistants provide administrative support, social media engagement, video podcast production support, and business consulting services to small business owners, content creators, show hosts, and busy executives. Renee's entrepreneurial journey started in 1996. Against all odds, she holds a degree in business management. She's been a Dale Carnegie leadership training coach, and she's appeared on NBC's KCRA News 3 discussing the pandemic, business owners, and virtual assistants. Renee is now a sought-after inspirational speaker, podcast host, successful entrepreneur, philanthropist, and small group Bible study coach, leading women along their spiritual journey. Leveraging over 15 years of administrative and business experience, Renee and her team give busy executives the ability to eat more meals at home, take more vacations, and increase their productivity. Because life's too short to schedule your own meetings, book your own travel, find your own guests, produce your own show, and check your own emails. So, without further ado, let's get into the conversation. Well, thank you so much, Renee, for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much, Tine, for having me on your show. I'm super excited to be here.
Wonderful. I always like to start with our guests on a bit of an origin story. So, you started your business journey back in 96. I'm wondering if you can walk us through, how you went from there to leading a full agency today.
Wow. Well, Tine, it actually started way before 1996. And because, they say we're all a sum of the choices that we make in life, right? So my grandfather actually was a sharecropper from the South who moved his family to an Amish community in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
That's where I grew up. And that's where I learned the importance of having a hard work ethic, being a person of your word, being honest, being reliable, being dependable. All of these things were super important for us and our family in this community where we lived, because we were the only Black people for miles and miles and miles around in this community. And so we wanted everyone's experience with people who look like us to be the absolute best. And so that's the foundation that formed my work ethic that later continued to evolve and grow into, how I operated on my day jobs and how I worked eventually when I started my own business with that same mindset and mentality that everyone's experience with us needs to be the absolute best, because we're a representation of for me, it was my family, and for the team that we have now, it's their representation of executive help now. And so there's a whole story that goes along with that foundation, because as I got older and my mom, who was a single mom, left the farm that she was raised on as well, and moved us to Madison, Wisconsin. Madison had a summer youth employment program where they got kids off the streets and gave them opportunities to look for work and, or not look for work, but be assigned to different jobs to see where their natural gifts and skills and talents kind of showed up. And my first job was for Madison Urban League.
Okay.
And at the Madison Urban League, they took me to this room that was filled high and deep with books. Books on top of books on top of books. Hard books, paperbacks, you name it. There were so many books in this room. And my job by the end of summer was to organize all these books, put them in alphabetical order, put them in categories, label them, log them so they could find them later, all these things, right?
So you built a library.
I built a library. It definitely wasn't Dewey Decimal, but there were some categories, there were some subcategories, and there were some subcategories. It was then, Tine, that I discovered I had a natural gift for organizing things, and I really liked it, and I was really good at it, and I was really fast at it. So the job was done. By the end of summer, we had an entire library at the Madison Urban League, their very first, and people could find what they were looking for because I kept a log of where everything was located. I was 12.
No.
I was 12. So this was kids who couldn't get work permits. And so through the program, we could actually work though. So the following year, they assigned me to a company called Norrell Temporary Services. And Norrell Temporary Services is a temporary employment agency, and the owner of the franchise was a Black woman. And when my job was to hand out the applications to the people looking for work, then take them back and key them all into the computer. And with the clickety-clack sound of the keys, my fingers on the keyboard just typing away, that sound just resonated with me. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this is life-changing work. People's lives are changing. The more information I put into this computer, the better their chances of being able to get a job, take care of their families, and be some kind of contributor to our community. Wow. And I made this inner vow that one day I was going to own my own business or run an office. Just like
this was 13?
13.
Okay.
I was 13 years old.
So you were on the path.
I made myself a path that I thought, because this came so naturally and it really resonated with my soul, at my 13-year-old soul. And so from that day on, when I was in school, I would take all the clerical classes, all the typing, the shorthand, dictation. I joined DECA and all those other marketing clubs and things like that. So I could just surround myself with everything business. And so in doing that, I'd racked up so many credits, I was able to graduate from high school at 16 years old. So when I graduated from high school at 16 years old, I also graduated with a 1-month-old son.
Wow.
So my college dreams kind of took a hiatus for a little while.
Sure.
I did later go back and earn my degree as an adult, but I immediately knew I had to take care of my son. So fortunately, I now had at least 3 years of experience working, because I was able to transfer those skills that I had learned not only on those summer programs, but also in my at school, to now a real full-time day job, working for the state of Wisconsin during the day, and then working for the phone company, Wisconsin Bell, at night. There is no more Wisconsin Bell now, but it was through those experiences through those challenges that I was able to form a basis to grow from and strive to get better at my craft. I call it a craft. I didn't call it a career because it was just every day was something new that I was learning. And I was making very good money as a teenager, the same kind that grown-ups were making. Um, and it was because I put such an emphasis on being excellent,
Yeah.
that my grandfather gave me, and having
Wow.
a strong work ethic, and being almost a perfectionist for, on some level, because of our family name that was connected to all the work that I put out. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, and yeah, you were a teenager, but you had some grown-up responsibilities and some some grown-up expenses, right?
Yes, I did. I absolutely did. I
Oh.
ended up getting my own apartment at 17, and, yeah, it was a lot of I do not recommend it.
Oh, wow, but what an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I wanna touch on a few things that you mentioned. Um, one is just that you had the opportunity to really explore what things you were good at, what things you really enjoyed doing, and you found meaning in that kind of work. You could really see, how it's impacting your community, how it's impacting people's lives. I love that that you took that experience and turned it into so much self knowledge and motivation, right? Because a lot of us could just be like, "Oh, I have to do this summer job, you know, I,
Right.
I got to do this program, and now they're going to make me do this." But you really took that on as a way to learn about yourself and learn about what you love to do, and then you honed that. I love that.
Well, yeah,
And
and don't forget the money. Yeah, there was there
oh,
was
yes,
money.
yes.
I'm the daughter of a single mom. Yeah, we need money.
Yeah, a little bit of an incentive there, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
so I look forward to going to work.
yeah, and another thing that I think will really resonate with our audience is when you mentioned, being the only Black family in a community, everything you do feeling like you need to be a representative, not
Yeah,
just of your family now, but also of your race, right? This you might be the only Black person this other person ever meets or at least has met.
yeah.
And, that can be a lot of pressure. But
Mhm.
I do love that you kind of turned that into, this is how I developed my work ethic. This is the kind of experience I wanted people to have when they interacted with me.
Yeah.
Um, and as you talked about the family name, that really resonated with me because, my father's a Yoruba man from
Mm,
Nigeria. And, you know, when you're raising kids in Nigeria, you'll be like, hey, if you're going to keep acting like that, you got to change your name, right? That like your name carries meaning and you're representing your family in everything you do. So
yes,
oh, I
as
wasn't expecting that origin story to take me on such a journey, but I'm really so pleased you shared that with us.
yes.
Um,
Well, it's been my grandfather was truly an amazing man, and, he was the one of the hardest working men that I have ever known in my entire life, and, so anyways, it really stuck with me and definitely, formed me into who I am and how I operate today
Absolutely.
on many levels. Yeah.
And I know a lot of us, we have that strong work ethic and maybe some of that perfectionism you mentioned. And so
Mhm.
I'm wondering, I think especially for Black women, who feel like we just have to do everything ourselves to be
Mhm.
taken seriously, you know, um, I'm wondering, what you can say to our listeners to help us understand, like, why is it important to delegate, and how do we do that? How do we start to let go, or even decide what things to let go of to be able to show up as our best selves?
Right. That's a great question. My mom always said to me growing up, you can do anything you put your mind to. She also said that as a Black woman, you are going to have to work twice as hard to be considered half as good.
Yeah.
And that actually did turn to be true. Statistics, and Black women in our community, we know we are not seen in the same way as everybody else. And so sometimes we do feel like we have to do it all ourselves, which could, I think, contribute to that You can do anything you put your mind to. So, which is true. You can do anything you put your mind to, but you don't have to be the one to actually do all of the
Mhm.
things. So you can put your mind to being this high level, highly paid executive or this business owner, multi-million dollar business owner. If that's what you put your mind to, absolutely 100% you can do that. But first things first, build a team. You can't do everything by yourself. You cannot scale by yourself. You must delegate and build a team. Because when you are trying to wear all of the hats, if you are, you're a business owner who makes clothes, um, and you weren't educated in how to have a social media presence or how to build a website or how to
Right.
do accounting or how to do all the hiring, HR, legal things, payroll, all the stuff. That's not your zone of genius. You need to surround yourself with other people who love doing those things, who wake up every morning to do those things and get joy out of
Yes.
doing those things so that you can focus on designing clothes. That's where you
Right.
shine. That's your zone of genius. So free yourself up so that you don't have to wear all the hats that keep you from being the best designer that you are called to
Oh,
be.
I love that you talk about this zone of genius, and I'm wondering, um, as you talk to folks who are kind of learning how to operate in their zone of genius, how do you help them figure out what kinds of things belong on their plate and what sorts of things don't?
So one of the biggest indicators that you are doing the wrong thing is if the time you're spending doing it isn't generating income.
Could you say that one more time?
Say it again for the people in the back.
Yes, please.
If you are spending your time doing things that are not generating income, you should not be doing it.
Mm,
Somebody else should be doing that activity so that you can focus on the things that will make money for your
yeah.
business. That's where you need to focus.
I love that. It's such a simple answer, but it is so powerful because how many of us are spending most of our time figuring out social media content and the newsletter and the what have you, and it's like, what are the things that are going to bring in the dollars? I love
That's
that.
right, right. Because if you think about it, so say you're a business owner and you make $300 an hour. Now, is that a $300 an hour newsletter that you're creating? Is that going to bring
Mm,
in that $300? Or would that be better served by someone who's, first of all, skilled in making newsletters
right,
and someone who loves making newsletters and can whip one out in, a very short amount of time, whereas it might take you all day to make a newsletter.
right.
You know what I mean? So there's a time value associated with the activities that you are doing.
Mm,
Where is the best use of those dollars?
yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm thinking about our listeners. I'm thinking of the woman who is hearing this and saying, you know what? I don't have the money to build a team. I can't be employing anybody yet. I'm stretched thin, but this all sounds too hard. I'm
Hmm.
wondering what's a small step someone can take? Like what's something that someone listening now could do this week towards this kind of delegation that you're talking about?
So one of the things I would like to encourage women to do is to look at if finances are an issue, look at the colleges and universities that are around your area.
Mhm.
Is there a job board where people are looking for work or to gain some experience? Maybe you could reach out to them, and that could be a fit for you just to kind of take it off your plate, where it's because it's not certainly enough for a full-time job or even a part-time job, but it's something that someone can do a couple hours a week to
Mm.
lighten your load, help you out. They get some experience, you get some support, and it's something that you can now use that time you were taking to make the newsletter to go and focus on some money-making activities.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, you can kind of just illustrate for us, like, what this kind of transformation can look like. If there's, a client story you have or just someone who was, stuck doing everything, but
Mhm.
then brought on your team and then everything changed. Like, what does that look like?
Yes. So one of the clients that I love to talk about is our client named Katie. Katie is the owner of an IT services company that serves the senior living community. And she's
Mhm.
been doing it for years. I believe she inherited it from her family. So it's been in her family for a very long time. And she's doing an amazing job running this business. But she was doing everything.
Mhm.
And when I reached out, so our paths crossed many years ago. And then when I started promoting the business out on LinkedIn, that sort of thing, we reconnected. And she was like, I might be able to use your services. Let's have a conversation. So she explained to me how she's trying to run the business all day, bring in new clients, but at the same time, she still has to do payroll. She
Yep.
has these contractors working with her. That the payroll system is manual. Half the time, they may or may not submit their sheets on time. Then she's got to do this
Mhm.
manual calculation, then transfer it from this spreadsheet to that program. And it takes a long time, and on top of doing all the marketing and all of the sales and all of the other things that go along with running your own business. She said, if y'all could just do the payroll for me, let's just start there,
Mhm.
then that would really help me a lot. And so she explained to us her current process and what she was doing, and we repeated that for her. And at the very time that we were to turn over to her what we had done, she was able to process payroll with the click of one button, because we were the ones that engaged with the contractors. We got the time, we put it in the spreadsheet, we transferred all the information. All
Mm.
she had to do was press one button and payroll was processed. And so when I reached back out to her after that experience, she literally had tears in her eyes. And she
Mm.
said, I can't believe I've been doing everything by myself for so long. And
Yeah.
you were here the whole time. All I had to do was press a button and payroll was processed. I didn't have to worry about anything. And so
Mm.
from that moment on, she realized the value of bringing on support for herself, not for the team, but for herself, to free herself up,
Yeah.
to give her more capacity. These are hours she did not have to spend doing this activity. With those hours, she was able to focus more on the things that were important to the business, or planning a vacation for the family, or
Mm. Right?
with her kid, whatever she wanted to do. These
Mm.
this was now found time that she had. And since then, that was probably I'm going to say almost 3 years ago. I think we just celebrated an anniversary.
Wow.
Um, but she has been so faithful and such an advocate for us, and has actually grown her support. She now has 3 assistants working with her, one in bookkeeping and the other on project management, and the other
Mm.
on her social media. And so it's been a wonderful experience for her, and we continue to streamline her processes and share offer suggestions for how to do things better, more efficiently, more cost effectively, that sort of thing. And she's just all for it, and it's really truly improved the quality of her life and the income for her business, because now she's able to focus more on bringing in those sales and closing those deals. And so her income has grown because she has brought on her team of assistants to help her scale.
Wow. I'm so glad you shared that story. I mean, while you were describing what she was doing before, I was getting stressed, right? Like I started feeling my heart rate going up, like, and when you said the words like one click of a button,
Yeah.
the
So,
relief that I felt, and I'm not even there, right? I'm not I'm not her. But just the idea that something that's taking up so much of not just your time, but your energy and your stress, and you're thinking about it when you're not doing it and all that stuff, to be reduced to, let me click this button and someone else has handled it.
yeah.
That's incredible. I hope that story has inspired others listening, because there are so many pieces of running a business that we feel like we just have to do it because it's there and it needs to get done. And there
Right.
are other ways to get that done. Ugh.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that that our clients really value, about how we operate is that our packages start at just 10 hours a month. So
Mm,
if you have any sort of budget, starting at 10 hours a month, that is a way to get your feet wet so that you can understand what this life could be like for you, and then slowly move up if your schedule or if your needs call for it.
mhm.
But we reduce the barrier to entry by starting with such a low number so that more and more business owners can take advantage of this and
Yeah.
truly start to feel that relief and improve quality of life by delegating.
Oh, I love that because, yeah, I think a lot of us are thinking, well, I can't take on an employee, like a full-time
Mhm.
person. But yeah, like having that, let me ease into it. Let me do 10 hours a week and see how it goes. And then I'm
Mhm.
sure once you've got that 10 hours back in your life, you'll
Yeah.
be able to start creating more profit and then you'll be able to afford more assistance. I love that. I love that you've created that or lowered that bar to entry, as you said, for folks to really be able to start in even on a lower budget. I love that.
Yeah. 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 I love it.
And before we close out, I do want to ask, in terms of, when we're delegating things, we're having to become leaders, right? If you go
Mhm.
from a solo entrepreneurship venture to now I'm delegating these things, now you're having to lead others. And so I'm wondering, what's something you've learned over time about leadership that helps you to show up strong without burning out?
One of the most important lessons I've learned is that my assistant cannot read my mind.
Mm,
I have to communicate, I have to share, I have to sometimes it takes a level of vulnerability, and humility to be a great leader, and that's super important because when your team knows that you care about them and that you want what's best for them, so you wanna set them up for success, and the
yeah.
way you do that is by taking the time to explain, taking the time to answer questions.
Mhm.
All of these things lead to being a really great leader because your team knows that you care about them, you care about their success, and so they want to make you look good. And so it's a wonderful reciprocal type relationship when you take an interest in them and you take the time to share information and not just assume that because you've been doing this for so long that they automatically know how to do it
Right.
your way or you know and they don't. You have to take
Right.
that time on the front end to prepare them, help them understand, because that's what our team does. We seek to understand what your current situation is, what's right, what's wrong, how you want it to be different,
Yeah.
so that we can then operate and get you to that place that is different.
Oh, I love that. And for anyone who is listening, maybe they're still on the fence about, hiring more support. I'm wondering if you can tell us about a resource you have called the "What Can a Virtual Assistant Do for You" flipbook.
Yes. So we have created a tool that will help entrepreneurs decide whether or not the time is right for them.
Mm,
But a lot of times when they're thinking about it, they just know, "I'm just busy. I don't even know what I can delegate
yeah.
because I think I have to do everything." How can they do all these things that I'm doing? So we created a document, a guide called "What Can a Virtual Assistant Do for You?" And we'll leave a link to it in the show notes. But if you text the letters VA now to 1-866-943-3591, you can automatically get that guide in your inbox. And it will share with you not only how to work with a VA, but some different things that you can delegate to them that will immediately start to have an impact in your quality of life and capacity.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, we'll have the link in the show notes as well as that number that you'll want to text to get that resource. And y'all, if your to-do list is running your life, right, this guide is what you're going to need.
Yeah.
So make sure you grab the link or text the number that's in the show notes. It's going to break down exactly how a virtual assistant can free up your time so you can stop being the bottleneck and start being the CEO of your business.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. This is so good. And a lot of people start with email management, calendar management, expense reports, travel arrangements, presentations, social media management. Those are some really great places to start.
Fantastic. And Renee, for those who are listening and they want to keep in touch with you or learn more about what you do, how can folks find you?
Well, we are on all the socials at Executive Help Now, on LinkedIn at Executive Help Now. I also have a YouTube channel where we share tips and tricks and best practices for those starting their businesses. The name of our YouTube show is called Renee Speaks, and it drops every Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on YouTube and all the other social channels. And our website, of course, at executivehelpnow.org.
Perfect. So we'll have all those links in the notes as well. Oh, Renee, I just want to thank you so much for joining us. I think that, the work you do is so important and speaks to so many of us who grew up with this, right? You got to work twice as hard to get half as much. And we really internalize, I have to do everything. I have to do everything myself. And so I'm just so grateful to you for the work you do to help kind of guide us and teach us how to sort of interrupt that belief, but then also give us the tools to really do it. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. This is what we wake up to do every single morning. So thank you so much, Tine, for what you do and providing this platform. I pray it resonates with your audience. It's been amazing.
Wonderful. And thank you to all of you for joining us. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for watching the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to hit the notification bell so you can catch more episodes like this one. And join the conversation by leaving a comment below. Be sure to share this channel with the incredible Black women in your life so we can continue getting Black women paid. All right, we'll see you in the next one.